instructions. Remember, protect yourself at all times. Obey my command at all times. Touch gloves.
Third bout of the evening, Tony Lightning Luis, Maurycy Gojko of Poland, making the long trip to the Hilton Lac Lémy in Gatineau, Quebec. Battle Southpaws here on Welt TV.
This is really a confidence builder for Tony Luis, of course, coming off that loss. And Luis, who's such a pleasant guy to be around, had a decidedly different temperament yesterday. He was very reserved. Not to say that he's lost his confidence, but certainly his demeanor has changed.
Well, he told us he really had to reevaluate some things. He lands a left to the body. Will look good from here, combination. And he looked at the fight with Hernandez and saw some of the flaws, and he knew he had to tighten some things up. And I don't know if we're going to see that against Gojko, but at least he's a guy who acknowledges that he had some things to work on.
Well, here's the reality of Tony Luis' situation, because he has a 4-fight per year deal with Greg Cohen. But after one more loss, if he were to take one, he can be released from his contract. So every single fight for Tony Luis is do or die. And he was a guy who struggled to find a promoter before Greg Cohen grabbed him.
Good shot to the body from Luis. Corey Urban, you find the tapes, you find out contract details. Just Johnny on the spot.
Right, slithering in the bowels of the boxing building.
Luis, very exciting fighter. A couple of times I've seen him fight live. He puts on good, even in the loss to Hernandez, he put on a good show, fought hard. There were a couple times in that fight where he was hurt early and he fought back to gain the advantage against Hernandez.
And he was ahead on the scorecards at the time of the stoppage, too. So
good straight left, and Gojko's hurt. He stopped him in his tracks, and see if Luis tries to get him out of here. Another body shot. So you can see the right side of Gojko's body is already as red as this canvas is.
Well, Gojko's been very durable throughout his career, but he hasn't faced too many guys the caliber of Luis.
Straight left hand.
In all those losses, Mark, Gojko's never lost to someone with a losing record.
It's always been the 14-0, 15-1 type of guys like Luis. He's coming off a 6-round unanimous decision about a month ago on April 20th to Anthony Mazzach. Mazzach was once rated very high by one of the sanctioning organizations. Going through the notes on Gojko, he was a guy who was fighting 2 fights in about 8 to 10 days on various different points in his career.
It's a tough way to make a living, but it is a way for him to see the world.
Have fight, will travel.
Came to Canada by himself. He was basically given the corner man for this fight.
Some good work by Tony Luis in round 1.
For Luis, it was that left hand over the top and that left hand to the body as well. Gojko opting not to sit down between rounds.
Round 2 scheduled for 6. Tony Luis, solid round 1.
Luis is one of those guys, when you talk to him, you just wonder, why exactly do you get punched in the face for a living? You know, he's a social worker in Cornwall. He's the WBC's Goodwill Ambassador.
Very, as you said before, a very nice young man.
Articulate, well-educated, and
25 years old.
He'll certainly have a future after boxing, regardless of what happens in his career in the ring.
Now he turns orthodox, back to southpaw. Straight left hand gets through.
He also made an appearance at WWE SmackDown in Cornwall, Mark. So he was in there with Jack Swagger. He can say he was in there with a world champion.
Where do you find this information? I would love to know. Good combination, 1-2 from Luis. He's been somewhat short for first round and a half here. Gojko gets in a straight left.
Well, Gojko was a little more adventurous, a little more brave in the first round. Now he's using his legs a little bit more. Just trying to stay out of range as often as he can.
Double jab, orthodox, Tony. Double jab, orthodox. Come on. Step in, bud. Come on. There you go.
That would be ruled a slip, but there was a good right hand landed in there from Luis.
Straight left from Luis. Luis now trying to jump on Gojko.
Luis fancying the southpaw stance in this one. You know, he turned orthodox momentarily, and in the 20 seconds that he did, landed a good right hand.
Luis's corner asking him to set it up. More body shot that was culminated by an uppercut, that combination.
Well, that'll take Gojko's legs away, which is basically what he's using to stay out of danger here.
End of round 2. Scheduled for 6 here on Well TV. Got some great programming tomorrow. Back-to-back episodes of Private Islands. Join host Christina Sindrich as she takes you on a magical journey through the private island of French Polynesia. Discover heaven on earth in your own utopian paradise full of beauty, adventure, and above all, sheer escapism. I've seen that show. It's a terrific show, Corey. We take a look at the highlights of round 2.
A terrific show from Tony Luis here in the second round as well. Luis switching stances. There he is back in the southpaw stance as well. Really not going after Gojko frantically. Seems comfortable just getting the rounds in as well. And for Gojko, that's what he wants. Again, as a traveling opponent, he doesn't need any suspensions or anything hanging over top of him. He wants to get in the ring, back in the ring as often as he can.
I think Gojko would like to be anywhere. I think he'd rather be in French Polynesia right now.
Well, he will go anywhere that gloves are used to fight. He's even dabbled in amateur kickboxing as well. So he's a guy who just likes to get in there and fight.
Well, just to finish up our little commercial, that's at 11 a.m. and at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on Well TV. I'll be back home just in time to watch it. So we start round 3, scheduled for 6. Jab from Tony Luis. Luis now walking Maurycy Gojko down. And there's a couple jabs right to the face. A little bit different for Luis. He's not facing the 6 foot 1 inch Jose Hernandez. He's fighting a guy eye level, definitely not as talented as Hernandez. Good body shots from Luis.
And he's facing a guy whose lone purpose seems to be just to move away from that left hand right now. There he gets popped with a right hook, though.
Twice. Body shot combination. Buckles Gojko. See if Luis steps it up here as he lands a hard combination. Gojko is pretty much resigned to the fact
Will be ruled a push.
that to see how many rounds he can probably give Luis.
Well, Luis seems to have the mentality that when he wants to finish a guy, when he thinks he has them hurt, he's going to switch back to the orthodox stance. But it's one of the things that made that Hernandez fight interesting is that he was switching back and forth on the inside.
Another hard combination from Luis. He said signed to Greg Cohen Promotions. Good promotional outfit out of the New Jersey, New York area. Straight left hand. Good body shot, and two body shots with both hands from Luis. So he's been pretty sharp tonight. So we're halfway home, scheduled for 6.
Well, he's looked sharp from both sides of the plate, so to speak, here in round 3.
Gojko maybe he's cut around the right eye a little bit. It's an interesting dynamic. You pointed it out in the first round. The cornerman who was assigned to Gojko puts the stool in the ring. Gojko looks at it and doesn't sit down.
It's like when you try to give your kid or your pet a present and they have no interest. They're just going to go for the box instead. Back to boxing here, though. Here's Tony Luis in the southpaw stance as well. And he really picked up the tempo in the third round. There were points when I think he felt he could finish Gojko and probably wanted to. But, again, this is a survival specialist. That's why he's been able to get in the ring so many times. You can see he eats a lot of these shots, but always has the legs to get away and not take anything on the follow-up.
There's definitely a little nick around the right eye of Maurycy Gojko. And Luis comes out very quickly here in round 4. Jab from Gojko.
Yeah, Gojko has been sneaking in a few once in a while.
Good combination of the body again from Luis.
Although Luis doesn't want to take any punches, I'm sure he doesn't mind Gojko opening up just a little bit and taking a chance or two. I think Luis is a counterpuncher by nature.
Straight left again from Luis. Body shot, roll to slip. One of those veteran tactics that you learn over a 60-fight career.
Works every time.
Right hook from Luis.
Luis's corner imploring him, keep that piston jab going out there.
Right and a left to the body from Luis. I'm going to take a look at the matchmaking aspect. The last 2 fights, very interesting. Good guys, DeMarine and now Gojko. In terms of the learning process, you're facing in the last bout an awkward, gangly guy who's going to give you rounds, and in this guy had 60 pro fights, and like you said, just knows how to survive and give you rounds.
Well, this is the 4th different opponent that was suggested for Tony Luis. The 3 prior either dropped out or were rejected for whatever reason, and Gojko as we mentioned, was only really finalized. This fight only really finalized yesterday after the blood work came in. It was assumed it would take place, but a little bit of turbulence in the making of this fight.
Body shot from Luis. 30 seconds go here in round 4. Scheduled for 6.
It becomes difficult when you come from Poland with blood work in Polish, and the commission does not read Polish.
Allegedly, the word was he was good in Polish and on all the tests.
Right. Yeah, well, Google Translate could tell you what negative means, but that wasn't sufficient for the commission on that day.
End of round 4, scheduled for 6. Tony Luis firmly in control here at the Hilton Lac La Meet.
Take a look at some of the action. Tony Luis, a bit of a slower round for him. Not a round off necessarily, but trying to pick up the tempo, trying to jump in and flurry on the inside, and Gojko doesn't want to entertain that idea. He's holding on every time Luis gets anywhere near him and trying to stay out of range entirely as much as he can. That's what you do when you're an opponent.
You see Farad Nasri warming up. That's Pascal Villeneuve.
He's who many of the people here came to see. He is one of the ticket sellers here, one of the primary ones. Just his second pro fight.
Last time here, it was almost like the whole crowd was here for him.
Right, he was pretty much the main event.
Round 5 scheduled for 6. Tony Luis landing the body shot to the head. Straight left from Luis. He's coming out the last 2-3 rounds pretty fast. And then he settles into a real nice boxing rhythm.
You know, Gojko's taken some good UK domestic fighters rounds, guys like Curtis Woodhouse and Martin Lindsay, so I suppose it isn't that much of a surprise that he's able to spend some time in there with Luis. At the same time, you just look at them technically, and there's such a differential in their skill set, and you wonder just how Tony can't get him out of there. The skill of survival can't always be seen with the naked eye.
Luis a little short with the right hand.
Gojko throwing his left hand just often enough to make Luis think, make him respect him.
Straight right to the body.
Luis trying to jab more often now. His corner calling for it. There's a little bit of irritation in Luis's corner right now, as if they think this one should have been over already. And certainly on paper it should have been. Again, Gojko holds on.
To tie up. Under a minute to go here in round 5. Gojko tries to jump in with the left. Right to the body, left to the body from Luis. Gojko gets in a counter left.
Does it just often enough to make Luis think. Luis now just trying to put his guard up and walk into Gojko. Instruction from Luis's corner is to not let him hold, but it's difficult to do.
Little body shot in from Luis.
Gojko very adept in holding on. Look at some of the highlights here. Slower round once again for Luis, and you see Gojko will poke that left hand out just often enough, just to let Luis know that he's there. He's trying to bob and weave and wade to the inside, sort of the body. He did some of that, but not enough to slow Gojko down. He's still on his bike and able to stay away and out of range.
There we see the main event star of the show, Ghislaine Maduma, warming up. We'll see him later in our program. He'll be taking on Saul Carry On in our main event later tonight on Welt TV. Round 6, sixth and final round. Tony Lewis. Won all 5 rounds on my card, quite handily. Coming forward against Maurycy Gojko.
And this isn't out of the ordinary for a guy who is much more talented to be taken rounds by a guy who has 60 fights and who has gone rounds, who is durable, hasn't really been stopped all that often. You'll see these types of fights on guys' records all the time. Again, Luis is entitled to 4 fights per year, supposedly.
Well, this is fight number 2. He lands a left.
Or up to 4 fights a year, so he's just trying to stay busy here and fight once again in front of his Canadian audience.
Pretty solid throughout. But this Gojko is definitely a tough nut to crack.
Well, regardless of what Tony Luis did here tonight, he wasn't going to change the opinions of people after the Hernandez fight, and I think he knows that. And he's also not going to change his own opinion. This is a little bit of a confidence booster, but he's going to need to test himself again and see where he's at.
And he will get that opportunity.
He put on a heck of a fight on national television against Hernandez, so I don't think anyone would be disappointed to see him in there in a 50-50 fight once again.
And he's trying to urge Luis on. There's that little left that we see once every few rounds from Gojko.
Well, that's in the job description for Gojko. If he were to go out there and take crazy chances, he wouldn't be able to do what he does.
Straight left from Gojko.
I'm sure, Mark, that by the time Gojko gets back home to Poland, there will already be 1 or 2 fight offers on the answering machine.
I'm sure. And probably 2 different continents, too. Straight left from Gojko. Tony Luis coming home to a 6-round victory, it looks like. Good effort by Gojko. He played his part.
Well, Gojko looks thrilled that he went the distance. Smile on his face. Looks like he's done this a few times before. Another day at the office for Tony Luis, who expected to win this fight and did his job here. Every round more or less a replay of the last one. He's doing all the work offensively. Gojko slipping in a left hand once in a while, but good calculated performance from Tony Luis.
I'm sure he feels pretty good about his performance. I'm sure he'll tell you he could have done better.
Well, there's no reason to read into 6-rounders against journeyman too much.
You see Tony Luis. And let's go up the ring announcer, Pierre Bernier, who has the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds, we go to the scorecards. Judges de Carufel, Guérin, and Procopio all see it the same way. Score 60-54 for your winner, Tony Luis.
Tony Luis goes to 16-1 with a 6-round unanimous decision over Maurycy Gojko.